Hi guys, welcome to my kind of mid-year check-in. I thought it might be a good idea to tier rank all of the books I've read so far this year, just like as a way of doing a kind of rapid fire like review slash wrap up. Just tell you my thoughts on all the books that I've read so far this year. So let me show you the tiers that I've made. The top tier is called Would Sell My Kidney to Read Again for the First Time, and like I think that's self-explanatory. Like this is top tier. The books that go in there are some of my new favorite books like ever. Like I literally would give anything to read them again for the first time, and I would recommend them to literally anyone. And if you talk smack about them, like lock your doors. Then the next tier is called Fantastic, Give Me 14 Right Now, which if you get that reference, I love you. Basically, there's this video that's gone viral about a woman who made her husband like pancakes or flapjacks or something with, I think, sweet potato. And he's like, that's fantastic, give me 14 right now. And I've been seeing people like in comment sections using this phrase now when they really like something or they're like obsessed with something or they just want something. They're like, fantastic, give me 14 right now. And I thought that might be a good second tier. Then in the middle, we have Neither Here Nor There, which is like, I didn't hate the book, but I also didn't love it. Like I just don't really care about it. Like, you know, I read it. At least it's another book I can check off the list, I guess, but I don't care about it. I barely even remember what happened. So then we have You Were Good, still in brackets, Waiting for You to Be Great. That's a Dance Moms reference if you don't get it, but also really self-explanatory, I guess. Like the book wasn't per se problematic, but it was just okay. Like I use that phrase because it's like a famous thing to say for a bottom tier, but like I didn't like this book. I didn't like these books. I didn't think they were that good, and I would not recommend them. Like, sorry, but that's just my opinion. And on the very, very bottom, we have If This Book Was Drowning, I Would Not Save It. So literally, if it was floating by on like a stream, like I just happened to be next to a stream and this very specific book was floating by and it was drowning, I would not save it. Like, I hate these books. I will talk smack about them. Like leave me alone with my hate for these books, okay? The books that go in there, I feel like they wasted my time. I'm not happy that I read them. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first book is None Shall Sleep, and we're starting off amazing. Because this, fantastic, give me 14 right now. I would happily read 14 more books like this. I would happily read 100 more books like this. Like, even if they were all exactly the same, just different characters and plots, but like the same type of thing, I would read it again and again and again and over again. Like, do I need to say more? This is one of those classic teenagers gets recruited in the FBI and hunt serial killers books. It's a thriller, it's a mystery. It had me on the edge of my seat. I literally was up till 4 a.m. reading this book. Yeah, I could barely open my eyes the next day, but, well, it was the next day. But you get what I mean. Like this had me hooked. Literally, I could not put it down. I rated it 5 stars. I can't say anything bad about it. There's just nothing that I could find that would make it not 5 stars. And therefore, I highly recommend it. And this is the type of book that I would read 14 more of, like right now. Actually, I really need it. So if you have recommendations for these types of books, please leave it in the comments because they're like one of my favorite genres, I think, ever. And while we're on the topic of I would read 14 more of them right now, let's go find the sequel to this book because it seems everything is everywhere here. I hope I added it. Here we go. Some Shall Break. It's also going in there. I also rated this one 5 stars. It's also going up there. Why doesn't it want to go there? There we go. I also rated this one 5 stars. It's so good. Like, something about these types of books just does something to me. Like, it was well written. It had great diction and vocabulary. It's very, very fast paced. There's always something happening. It had amazing characters. And once again, I would just highly recommend that you read this if the plot seems enticing to you in any sort of way. Then we have The Graham Effect. I'm gonna put that in Neither Here Nor There in the middle tier because, yeah, I don't know, it was just okay. Like, I had a good time while reading it, but afterwards, no thoughts. Like, I didn't really care. I read it because I loved the Off Campus series when it was like in its prime, like when I was a really young teenager. I was obsessed with the deal like every single other girl, and so I had to read this book. And honestly, it did what it needed to do, but it's not one of my favorite books, and I think I give it like 3.5 stars, which is not a bad rating. But yeah, it's just not that memorable. Then we have Betting on You. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. I'm gonna put it in the You Were Good, still waiting for it to be great. It was kind of cringy, like, I'm not gonna lie, I could tell that it's an old lady trying to get the Gen Z slang right and like the way teenagers speak, and I personally feel like it failed. Like, no, I did not like that one. Like, some parts of it were cute, but the characters were incredibly immature, and like, I don't know, because I don't know a lot of teenagers, but I feel like teenagers are not that immature. And I mean, if they are, then I don't want to read about them. So I was staring at the page sometimes and like, really? That's what you think? Like, your mind works like that? Yeah. Like I said, some cute moments, but I can't remember like what happened. I can barely remember what went on in this book. So yeah, it wasn't great. Check-in Mates. You know what? I think that's gonna go in there. Yeah, I would read 14 more of them. Like that, I love that book. Probably because I love chess. And so combined with Ali Hazelwood's very quick-witted writing and the banter that she writes, the characters, like, she is smart as hell. That woman she can write, okay, and she can think, because she's like, how does she come up with the things that these characters say? I really think she's a genius. But yeah, this was great. Peak entertainment. It was really fast paced. For me, there was the perfect balance of romance and plot and character development. I really enjoyed Check-in Mates at the time that I read it, and it's been making me want to read more Ali Hazelwood books, because I only read this one and The Love Hypothesis because The Love Hypothesis was like huge at the time, and I'm someone who needs to have an opinion on popular things. I always read books that are hyped up just because I want to know too. Like, I guess I have FOMO. I didn't like The Love Hypothesis that much, but this book slaps. Like, this was great. I just had a really good time reading it. Like, no thoughts, just vibes. And I think I read it in like a day. So yeah. The Boy Most Likely To. You know what? Despite the cover, this is going in the top. Like, top tier. I honestly think this is one of the most underrated YA authors, like, probably ever. You guys are sleeping on Huntley Fitzpatrick. Like, she only has 3 books, okay? But please, I need BookTok to get on this. Like, I'm not someone who gatekeeps. I want to watch edits of these characters. I want people to get obsessed with him, because you will. When you read these books, you will get obsessed with him. This is the second book in that duology. It follows 2 side characters from the first book. Let me find the first book so I can show you, because 100% that is also going in the top. There we go. My Life Next Door. I don't really have time to explain them, so you should just go look it up, but it's so good. It's the cutest characters and scenes. Like, these are all really, really sweet YA romances. They don't have spice. They have little innuendos, and they are like on the bit more mature side of YA, but they're so good. They're so good. The writing is incredible. It was unexpectedly poetic and just so beautiful. The stories, like The Boy Most Likely To, is more character than it is romance, but it made me cry. It was so sad, but also so beautiful and wholesome, and I would sell a kidney to read these again for the first time. Like, I could just, if I could just get back in the mind space I was in when I read them for the first time. Like, I loved my life while I was reading these. The best. Yes, 100% top tier. Alex Approximately. I think Fantastic Give Me 14 right now. This is, I feel like everyone has read this book, but the vibes are just immaculate. Like, I read this in the summer, wanted a YA beach town coming of age story, and that is what I got. And I literally have been looking for more books like this one, so I will definitely read 14 more like them. Second Chance Summer. This is a tricky one. I also want to put that in the Fantastic Give Me 14 right now tier, but word for word, the name of the tier does not apply to this book. I don't want to read any more books like this one because it physically hurt me. But I can't put it any lower because I love that book. It made me sob. Like, it was so incredibly sad. It's probably, I think, the saddest book that I've ever read, and I did not expect it. But it's like, it's not neither here nor there, you know? It's a very special book, and it has a special place in my heart, so it can go in that tier. A Love Letter to Whiskey. If this book was drowning, I would not save it. Yep, I went there. So this is a book that's basically about these two characters who, it's like right person, wrong time for years and years and years. They're always wanting to be together but finding reasons not to be with each other, and then they're cheating on their respective partners with each other, and it's just a whole mess, and it's a cycle that goes on and on and on. But the reason that this book can drown is actually not about that horrendous plot. It is because of the fact that the main girl in here, and trigger warning, she was conceived as a result of assault. I'm not sure what I can say on YouTube, so like, I'm sure you get what I mean. And at the beginning of this book, she's just found out about that. I feel like that entire part of the story was just implemented as a plot device, like literally for no other reason. And it didn't even work. Like, it didn't even develop her character well. Like, is that really all the author could think of for character development and giving the character depth? Like, you see, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, this was not it. I honestly, I hated this book. Also, the writing, I felt like I was reading like an essay report or something. Like someone who constantly had a thesaurus on hand. And all the characters, the dialogue, they all spoke in the same way. Like, literally, no. A bit later in the book, then, and I think this is a spoiler, but it's not really, it's not that late in the book. Her dad dies after they hadn't spoken in years. And then she like grapples with that, like the grief of, she actually used to have a great relationship with her dad, but then after finding out what she did find out, she cut him off and now he's dead and she regrets it, I guess, and like that's all we get. I felt like that part of the book was very, very insensitive and not well executed. Love and Gelato. I'm gonna put it in neither here nor there. At the time, I had a good time reading the book. It was good vibes, and I would actually recommend it if you're in the mood and if you're trying to get out of a reading slump. I was in a reading slump and I read this one and it got me out of it because it's so short and fast paced. It's really cute and sweet. It's set in Italy, so I felt like a movie was playing in my head. It's just like not top tier book, you know? It's just there. I'm glad I read it, but I would never reread it, you know? Then we have How to End a Love Story. How to End a Love Story. I'm also going to put it in neither here nor there. Like basically the same thing as Love and Gelato. I had a good time reading it. I felt like it was really well written for a romance book. I liked the characters. The female main character was very, very relatable, and the male main character was like a teddy bear, a literal golden retriever. He was just so cute and I loved reading about them. It has a very unique premise that I don't think I've ever seen in a romance book before, so it gets points for that. But yeah, it's just hanging there in the middle. Like, it's not my favorite book ever, but I definitely don't hate it. Like, I had a good time reading it, and I would recommend reading it if you're in the mood for it. Renegades. Gosh, this is a book I'm still lying to myself about. Like, I keep saying I'm gonna go back to it, so I kind of might have DNF'd it. I think I got to like 60% through. I feel like the plot has so much potential, but the way it's executed just makes me not care about the characters at all. Like, why? I really want to like this, and I might go back to it. The day that I do go back to it seems very, very far away. It just did not do it for me. Then we have Beach Read with Selma Kidney to read it again. Yep, for the first time. I mean, need I say more? We love Beach Read. This was a reread, actually. I read this like 2 years ago for the first time, and then at the beginning of this year, I was just missing them, and I needed to go back, and I'm so happy I did. I feel like it just gets better with every single read, which is crazy to me, because like I know what's gonna happen, but yeah, it's just so good. It's so good. The Summer of Broken Rules. I also would sound like I need to read this again for the first time. Like 100%. I had the best time reading this. I don't really talk to people in my personal, like, real life about the books that I read because they just don't have any interest in them. But I talked to my mom about this book. Like, I couldn't shut up. I loved this book. It just has such a sweet premise, such a cute, like, the vibes are just immaculate with this book. It's summer embodied in a book, like literally the epitome of summer. It has a great balance, humor and depth. It has the topic of grief, it has romance in it, it has coming of age, and overall just such a fun read. I gave it an easy 5 stars, and I really would give anything to read this again for the first time because I was so happy while I was reading it. Like, that book made me so happy. Oh, then we have Daughter of the Siren Queen. This is the second book in the Daughter of the Pirate King series. I'm also going to put that one in there. Sorry, I meant to put them in there. So these two had a pretty good plot. I didn't like the execution of it at all times. Like, I can't really explain, but it felt kind of childish and silly sometimes. I did have a good time while I was reading them. They have some good action scenes in there, but like, I don't really care about it, you know? It's just, it came and went. Ooh, then we have Powerless. This is gonna make some people angry. It's gonna go in the "you were good, still waiting for you to be great." Now I also DNF this one. Yep. I do plan on going back to it because I feel like I didn't give it enough of a chance, but I just wanted to put it in here because, like, sue me, I wanted to talk about it. Right off the bat with this book, I didn't like the writing style. It felt excessive. Like, there were so many times where I was like, oh, redundance, or oh, too many adverbs, and that makes me such a stick in the mud, and I'm sorry. I am gonna give it another chance. I could just feel it coming from a mile away right from the beginning that this book was gonna get on my nerves. So I'm really sorry, but I'm waiting for it to be great. Girl Abroad, that's gonna go in neither here nor there. I read this as a palate cleanser. It's just like a very basic, also coming of age story with this girl who is an exchange student. There's like a little bit of a mystery surrounding a historical art piece. And yeah, overall, I felt like it was good. I don't have any complaints about it. If that's the type of book that you are looking for, I would recommend this one. Like, you wouldn't be disappointed. But it's not like a favorite of mine, you know? Finlay Donovan is killing it. I'm also gonna, like, I wouldn't read 14 of these books, but I was vibing with it at the time, okay? It's like a mystery comedy type book. I haven't read a book like this one before, and I still might continue the series. Like, I really enjoyed this book. It's going in the middle tier because I'm like, I would get kind of tired if I had to read 14 books like this, but at the time it was good. Then we have Happy Place. I think I'm gonna say Fantastic NB14 right now. I was reading this at a time in my life where I was very happy, so, and it did actually give me some joy, even though it is a sad book, but it's also got a very hopeful undertone, and I think it deserves to be in the second tier. Like, yeah, I love Emily Henry, honestly. I should read more of her books. Let's put Funny Story next to Happy Place. None of those top beach read for me, but like, they do have a special place in my heart, and I will always read every single book that Emily Henry releases. So yeah, like, they weren't 5 stars, but I really had a good time while reading them, and I wouldn't mind to reread them. I wouldn't mind reading more books like them. The writing is beautiful, and I think that is what does it, and I love the characters. So yeah, also would recommend if you still haven't read them. Good Girl Complex. This book was drowning. I would not save it. I don't have much to say about it because I can't really remember much about the book, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Give it 1 star. The characters, like, they didn't feel like real people to me, and second of all, I did not for 1 second believe that they were in love when they said that they were. Like, I did not know. There were so many more things wrong with this book, but they're just like flown out of my mind because I don't care. Out on a limb. You were good, but I was waiting for you to be great. Yeah. I didn't really care for them, like, for the writing style and the characters. Some of it was really sweet, and I went like, aw, they're kind of cute. But that's it. Like, I was so relieved when it was over because it was really boring. Archer's Voice. This book was drowning. I would not save it. It's horribly written. I'm so sorry if you love this book because I know it's so many people's favorite books. Please don't come at me because I'm not coming at you for loving the book. But personally, this book, no. I DNF'd it actually. I just couldn't. I tried over and over and over again to get into the book because I so badly wanted to like it because so many people love it. And I don't. Like, there's so many problems with it. I'm not going to list all of them off, but the main one for me was the writing style. I just couldn't get past it, and the dialogue was horrible and unrealistic. I, like, could not get into this book for the life of me. Wild Love. I read this one because I really loved the Chestnut Springs series. I just had such a good time while I was reading them, and that was a while ago. My reading taste has changed quite a bit. But I mean, Wild Love was still a really good one to get me out of a reading slump because I was going into one, and this one helped me escape that. Like, the writing's fine. We all know Elsie Silver's writing, right? Some of the conversations that the main guy had with his, is this a spoiler? No, it's not a spoiler. Had with his daughter, were kind of weird. They were kind of weird. I didn't like them. And I wasn't really rooting so badly for the two main characters to end up together. Like, I didn't really care that much, but I still had a good time reading it. The pacing was good. It did drag a little bit at times, but overall, for a basic small town romance book, this is the best you're gonna get. It did what it needed to do. Magnolia Parks. Oh, do not get me started on this series. I would sound like I need to read it for the first time again. Like, I so would. I can't believe that I only read them this year, this very year. It feels like I've known these characters for so long. It feels like they really exist and they're out there living their drama-filled life in London. I just love them so much. It's top tier. It's a 5-star series for me. It's so beautifully written. It's poetic and lyrical, and I every day wish that I could write like Jessa Hastings. Also, the characters that she makes. I love the characters. Just know that that one like represents the entire Magnolia Park series. Like, all of them go in the top tier for me. What I thought was true. This is also by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and it goes in the top tier because, once again, it was so well written. It's a book that deals with many heavy topics. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting it, but I ended up loving it. It's a little bit more slow than her other 2 books, but it also has amazing characters, amazing writing. I don't know what more I can say. Like, it shows both sides of a small town. The girl who comes from a poor family and a guy who comes from a really rich family. And it shows both of their coming of age story. It's such a summer book. Like, the vibes are great. Once again, we see them swimming and on boats and having summer jobs and seafood and warm summer nights, going on walks in the dark. Like, what more do you want? I would sell my kidney to read this again for the first time. I love those 3 books with my entire heart, and I need people to hype them up on social media and to like get people obsessed with them so I can start watching edits about these characters. Like, I need those girlies to get on it, please. The way I used to be and the way that I am now, I would say also I would read my kidney. What am I saying? Okay, clearly I'm getting tired now, but I would sell my kidney to read these again for the first time. Those are some of the very few and far between BookTok books that I actually ended up really enjoying, and they had a massive impact on me. I cried, obviously. It was just so good. I felt like it was well written, unlike most BookTok books. Eden deserves the world, and Josh is my book boyfriend. Like, if you make me choose, I would choose Josh. He's so sweet and considerate, but also very realistic as a person. Like, I could see him actually being a person. And this entire story, I felt, was told really well. Like, it was really well executed. It clearly came straight from the author's heart. Like, she wasn't trying to make money off of this. Like, it was a story. It's one of those stories that just demanded to be told. And I'm so happy that she did tell it because I love those books. Oh no, I see we have repeats. Sorry, I'm just gonna like leave those 2 there. Until It Fades. You were good, but I was waiting for you to be great because, gosh, I can barely remember anything about this book. Let's just like set aside the fact that the cover is horrendous. I read it because I had read The Simple Wild by the same author and absolutely loved it. It made me cry. It was a really nice break from the regular romance book. I thought it was well written. I really enjoyed the characters. It made me sob. Like, that was the first time ever that I actually sobbed for a book. And it was really unexpected. I could honestly read about those characters going grocery shopping. The author really struck gold there when she wrote those characters from The Simple Wild. Personally, that book is for me. It's not for everyone, but it's for me. But this one was not for me. I was really happy when it was over. I didn't have the best time reading it. It was a cute book, but it read like a Wattpad story, and I kind of want to forget it. I have forgotten it, mostly. And then we have the Brothers Hawthorne. Give me 14 of them right now, please. Please, I'm begging you. Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I will read anything that you write. Like, it's silly, it's YA, it's unrealistic, but I love the characters, I love the writing. It's so fast-paced and the perfect thing to get you out of a reading slump. Like, literally the perfect thing. It was there for me when I needed it, and I would read 14 more books like these right now. Beartown. I would sell my kidney again. Oh, don't even get me started. That book made me realize what good writing is, like really good writing. I want to read this over and over and over again. I plan on reading the other 2 books in the trilogy very, very soon. It is on my priority TBR. Beartown is the love of my life in book form. Honestly, I think everyone should read that book. Like literally anyone, even if you're not a reader. It discusses such important topics, and it's written in a really beautiful but also entertaining way. You get attached to the characters. It's just so good. It's great. I love it. Then we have the Red Rising trilogy. I binged these. Like I read all 3, one after the other. I would say Red Rising goes Fantastic Give Me 14 right now. Then Golden Sun and Morning Star go straight to the top. Like, need I say more? I can't really explain anything because the plot is very complicated. I listened to the audiobook of these and the narrator is amazing. Like, it really brings the story to life. I love the characters. The world building was done so phenomenally. It's just so good. Like, so good. Red Rising, it has a lot of world building, which is why that goes on the tier below, because it did take me a while to get into, but then those other 2, top tier. Normal People by Sally Rooney. I think this can go in the 2nd tier. I feel very conflicted about that book. Like, my feelings are ambiguous at best. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, like I said, I feel conflicted. I don't really know what to say. It made me feel kind of anxious while I was reading it, so the reading experience was not that great for me, but I would still recommend anyone read this book, honestly. Objectively, it is one of the best books I've ever read. It's very realistic, painfully so, and I was hopelessly enthralled with it while I was reading, but I can't put it in the top tier because I'm not obsessed with it. I don't know how to feel about it, so yeah, I hope that makes sense. Then we have Taming 7. That's gonna be neither here nor there. The first part of it, I was so giddy about being back in that world and with those characters and all their banter and situations and everything. But the second part I felt like was incredibly poorly executed. Like, I was so disappointed. I felt like it was all satire and a joke, and I was like staring at the book. I was like, is this real? Like, did she mess it up that bad? That's gonna go in the middle because I cannot, like, with a good conscience, rank that book any lower because I do love the series. But yeah, that one wasn't my favorite. Then we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price. If this book was drowning, I would not save it. The pacing was off. It didn't feel like a mystery. It felt like we were just following a really unreliable narrator. Like, I don't know if that was the point, but I feel like it wasn't. Yeah, oh gosh, no. No, I had a horrible time reading this. Like, the plot and the premise sounded really, really interesting, but the execution, like, I don't understand how this woman wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and then came out with this. We didn't really get any sort of information throughout the book. Like, it was just the main character guessing. She didn't have any evidence, or literally anything, and then all of a sudden, she finds out the mystery, and then it's just info dump after info dump. Like, who in their right mind is gonna spend like half an hour explaining everything in detail of the crime that they committed when held at gunpoint? Like, what? That is not how it happens. Like, she really needs to find a way to incorporate her like reveals and the information and the mystery in different ways. I rated this 1 star. It did not do it for me. I hated the main character. I could see what the author was trying to do with her, but she failed miserably. And yeah, I'm gonna talk in more detail about it in my 3-month wrap up at the end of June. But yeah, this one, I would not save it if it was drowning. I really hated it. I actually rambled about this to like real people in my life who don't read because it was so bad. So yeah, straight to the bottom. And then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This can go in the middle one too. I had a good time. Like, the main male character was so cute. Like, he's such a golden retriever, and I do love books like that. But I felt like the end of the book kind of went off the rails. Like, it was a bit rushed and also self-contradicting. Like, one moment he was saying like, we'll never get back together, and literally 5 minutes later, they get back together. But yeah, for overall, I did love Just for the Summer. Like, it was a good read, a good palate cleanser, and it also has summer vibes, so you can never hate it, you know? Then we have Sable Peak. I do not remember reading this. I think it's gonna go there. Yeah, I don't remember anything about this. I remember liking the series as a whole, but it kind of declined in the end. Like, it wasn't serving that much. Then we have Fourth Wing. Fantastic. Give me 14 right now. Yeah, like, I can admit that the book is a bit cringy and is not that well executed, but I had a really good time reading it, and I would probably read 14 more like that. But then we have Iron Flame, which is gonna be, I think it's gonna go in the bottom because you know what? I actually DNF'd it. I got the end spoiled for me, and then I just did not care about it anymore. Usually I don't care about spoilers, but I was already not having it. Like, Iron Flame completely fell flat for me. I'm so sorry. I felt like the author was grasping at straws for a plot, and the romance was not it. Like, it was not giving. The enemies to lovers was over, and now I felt like she just wanted to repeat it. Yeah, Iron Flame did not do it for me. That was all the books that I read so far this year. I really hope you enjoyed watching me tier rank them. Like, my entire brain feels organized now, so that's a good thing. I hope you're doing well and taking care of yourself. And also please subscribe if you think I should be successful on BookTube. Okay, bye!